Good afternoon, Madam President. It's good to see you, and happy Valentine's Day to you and the rest of the chamber as well. Madam President, for some time, COVID-19 posed such a grave threat to our public health that we needed a one-size-fits-all policy for each of Connecticut's 169 towns. It was really a moment for state government to step up, and I think we should all be proud that it did, with masks and plexiglass and small business assistance and unemployment assistance and tests and eventually a vaccine. But our public health commissioner points out that conditions are improving. Thank God. That a one-size-fits-all approach is no longer necessary. So now the proposal is that towns can decide to take masks off on February 28th. You know, masking may be wise for a community with low vaccination rates, high rates of hospitalization, but it may not be necessary in a community with high rates of vaccination and low rates of hospitalization. Just as Governor Lamont doesn't close all schools on a snow day, it's time for superintendents to make that call. If the roads are icy in Westport, it doesn't mean that they are in Wethersfield. So I'm really tremendously pleased that the governor has made that commitment for February 28th as a transition for our state to move towards more local decision-making. But, Madam President, we heard from some of our colleagues today that local control isn't good enough, that they want Connecticut to go further, to follow in the wake of Virginia, to actually prohibit local mask requirements. They say that parents decide what's best. So I guess I'm wondering, where does that principle end? Take the snow day example. Should parents look out their window on a snowy day and decide whether or not they want to brave the roads to get their kids to school? If they do that, who is going to be responsible for showing up to school to teach those students? Because, by the way, Madam President, we haven't talked nearly enough about teachers in this conversation. Parental choice is really important, but sometimes, occasionally, collective decisions are necessary to solve collective problems. Forget the snow day. Let's talk about attendance in general. Should parents decide whether or not their kids need to go to school? Because our truancy laws would surely have something to say about that. How about on their way to school? Should parents decide whether or not their kids get to wear a seatbelt? Because our state seatbelt laws would say otherwise, that it actually is a requirement that kids wear that seatbelt to save lives. Perhaps parents can decide when their kids are ready to drive to school. The 16 age limit, be damned, we'll see 12-year-olds on the road, God help us. We all agree that parents make really important decisions for their families and for their children. And we probably also, hopefully, agree that on seatbelts and driving age and snow days, that actually sometimes community decisions are necessary. So the question, I think, that we're challenged to answer today, and so many other days, is where that line is drawn. How to simultaneously support families in enabling choices that make sense for them and their children without endangering others, without creating chaos. I think that Governor Lamont made the right call. I am beyond thrilled that so many of the kids and the students in my district are likely going to be able to take off their masks on February 28th. But especially in light of my good friend and colleague Senator Anwar's comments, I'm sleeping much easier knowing that our state is going to be ready to ramp up public health measures if, God forbid, another very contagious variant of this virus emerges. I'll just close by saying that I participated in a forum in New Canaan recently, and emotions were high, and I don't disparage that. I understand it. It's an incredibly challenging time. We are all so ready to be done with this virus. We got booed at, elected officials of both parties. That sort of comes with the job. But what really upset me that evening was that there were different opinions in the auditorium. There were some students who spoke up about how they actually didn't mind wearing a mask. There were some parents and teachers who said that they would actually like to see a continuation of mask mandates. I'm not saying who's right and who's wrong, but what disturbed me that night is that the community, the neighbors, were starting to boo at each other. They weren't just booing at their elected officials. They were disparaging one another. And when that happens, I think we've lost something that holds us together, which is being able to come together, disagree, but reach a common consensus, forge some common ground, and make sure that the next generation is able to go to school and enjoy all of those freedoms associated with childhood and also make sure that they're safe, and also make sure that the folks who show up to teach them are safe. I think that the governor struck the right balance. That's why I'll be voting yay today, and I thank you, Madam President, for the time.